Right, so today I'm starting the actual conversion work of my little Daihatsu Hijet from just a standard panel van into a micro campervan. I've taken the old flooring up that was in the van. As you can see, it's just old chipboard. It's very easy to break and snap. I've already snapped a little bit off, just taking it up as it was. It's not the most sturdy material, and because I'm going to be building a bed and a kitchen unit into the back of the van, I'm going to be replacing it with thicker ply. Now it's just going to be a case of, because this has come up in relatively one piece, there's just the one small bit there that's snapped off just from there, but I can put that back in place. So I'm just going to be laying it on top of a nice new thick sheet of nice plywood, drawing all the way around it, basically just using that as a template, using a jigsaw, cutting it all out. And then into the back of the van I'll be sticking it down. I'm not going to be screwing it through the metalwork. I don't want to try and create any new rust hole points in the floor plan. It's a pretty good van in here in regards to the metalwork. There's not much corrosion or anything, so I want to try and protect this as much as possible. So the new floor is just going to be getting stuck down rather than screwed in, but I'm going to be using Sikaflex, so once it's stuck it's not going to be coming back up in a hurry anytime soon. And then after that, the next job is going to be insulating and laying ultra safety flooring on top of that. But first things first, as I say, get all the new ply laid down, the old one on top, use it as a template, draw it around, cut round and get it laid in. So we'll see how we get on for the day, and we'll see what the results turn out like once it's all done. Right, so there's all of the template of the old flooring all drawn out onto the new ply. So now it's just a case of getting the jigsaw out, cutting around anywhere where there's little snippets that are needed to be taken out of the ply. I've pretty much had it so it's butted up side by side, so there's not a massive amount of cutting that's required. I say either side's pretty much the width of the van, so it's just the daft little cutouts for where the engine are, where the battery bank is at the back, things like that. So now it's just a case of getting the jigsaw out and cutting around all the template. Now if you're using an old floor as a template, you always want to make sure that if there are any holes in the old floor, they are actually needed. I've just drew around all of the holes that were already in the old floor, ready to cut out. But then when I've actually gone and checked inside the van, where those holes line up with inside, and as you can see, they line up to nothing. One there, there's that slot, and they're absolutely nothing. So I'm presuming those holes were just in the wood from before it was used as the flooring. So it's a good thing I checked actually, because otherwise I would have been cutting out extra holes in the floor that wouldn't have actually been needed. So now I know those holes aren't needed anymore. It's just a case of now cutting around all of the old template on the new ply and see how it fits. So there we go. That should right there be my brand new floor. Might need a little bit of fettling here and there, just depending on how well I actually drew around the template, but in theory should be a case of just slotting it in and away we go. So I'll give it a test fit and see how well it fits. Right, so there's the floor in place. It needed a couple of little fettling final cuts here and there, just where it was a little bit more awkward because this ply is a little bit thicker than the old floor, just to get it under where the jack stand is, things like that, just around the wheel arches again, just to make sure that they're nice and tight but not too tight. The old template didn't actually have a cutout for where you've got the engine bay bolts as well. I know main access for the engine is under the seats, but I think this is access for more the gearbox. So if you needed access for this and the floor was cut all the way up beyond all of the access bolts, then you'd be needing to rip the floor up any time you needed to get access in there. I mean, in theory, hopefully you should never actually need to get into there, but if you did, if the flooring wasn't cut back, then as I say, you'd have to be ripping the floor up every time you need to take that cover off. So instead I've made a nice cut going all the way around, so there should be easy access, and to fill the gap in I'll just be using some of the foam insulation that I'm going to be laying on top of the ply anyway, and I'll be able to layer that up just to fill in the gap. But it means that if any access is required to take this cover off, it's just going to be a case of taking the foam out rather than removing the entire ply floor. But I'm pretty happy with how this is looking now. It's had all the final cuts that it's going to get, so now it's just going to be a case of taking the floor back up, doing a few layers of Sikaflex along the ribs of the metal bed, then laying it back down, applying some weights to it and just letting it stick to that Sikaflex. I'm not going to be putting too much down, just enough to make sure that it does grab the ply and hold it, but I'm not going to absolutely smother the flooring just in case the ply did ever have to come up in the future. But again, I'll film all this anyway, so I'll get this ply up, I'll get my Sikaflex out and I'll start applying that. Alright, so I've just ran just a really thin bead of Sikaflex along most of the ribs, nothing too thick, so if the ply does need to come up, it should still be able to peel up relatively easily, but when it's down the Sikaflex should grab it really well. It also means that I haven't put any drill holes into the floor where any rust might encroach in the future, so the floor plan itself is pretty much protected as it was as well. So now it's just a case of laying the ply down onto here gently, trying not to disturb the Sikaflex too much, just so it gets a really good grab, and then weighing it down and leaving it set for a while. Right, so there's the floor in, it's all glued down. I just need to apply some weights to it now, and that will be my floor completely replaced with a brand new nice thick ply base for a flooring. So I get rid of all the old crappy chipboard that was down. I've gave access for where the gearbox mount and cover is, just in case that ever needs to come off as well. I've done the cutout for the battery box, and I'll just put a layer of insulation over there, and that'll keep that nice and toasty as well. So I'd say it's just a case of now weighing it down, and then that'll be it. So I'll get some weights on it and pick it up once it's all fully set and fully stuck. Right, so there is the floor now fully complete. The Sikaflex has had a couple of hours to set now, and as you can see, just by trying to lift it, it's just starting to rock the van rather than lift up the floor. But if it does need peeling up, it will still be able to come up. But because I've had a good cut out going all the way around, that's the only access area, that and the battery area, that anybody should need access to. Everything else is just solid floor. So in theory the floor shouldn't have to come up, but if it does, it still can, because it hasn't been screwed underneath. It's just been stuck down, and that can still be prized back up if it has to. But in the meantime, it's got a really good grip. So there we go, that's how I've replaced my floor in my little Daihatsu Hijet micro camper conversion. Next job is going to be insulating this floor and laying down some Altro safety flooring. That's going to be the next video coming up, so if you found this video useful, give it a good thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. As I say, the next video is going to be laying down the flooring. I've already got the flooring there, so that one will be coming up pretty soon on my channel. So do have a look on my channel, there's all sorts of videos in there from this Daihatsu camper conversion and my VW T4. As I say, it's all documented on my channel, so give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, cheers.